Hi there, welcome back. So many people know that the average human brain weighs about 3 pounds. But what most people don't know is that compared to other species in the animal kingdom, the human brain is the largest relative to body size. Brain size typically correlates with body size. Elephants have huge bodies and huge brains, and squirrels have tiny bodies and tiny brains. But humans are really the exception to the rule. With respect to the size of our bodies, our brains should actually be much smaller, but they are in fact the largest in the animal kingdom relative to body size. Scientists have debated about why this is for a long time, but recent research is fairly conclusive that the brain size of a species correlates to the relevance of social connectedness within that species. Humans have the largest brains relative to body size because we have the strongest need to connect with others. Having strong social bonds impacts not only our mental health, but our physical health. In fact, a 2015 meta-analysis of 148 studies found that greater social connection is associated with a 50% reduced risk of early death. Another meta-analysis of 70 studies found that social isolation and loneliness had the same effect on early death as obesity. If we were to put a price tag on our relationships, it would probably be easier to see how valuable those social connections are. And social psychologists have done that, and they maintain that if you feel a deep, meaningful connection with someone, it's like earning $100,000 more each year. Or enjoying positive relationships at work feels like a $60,000 bonus. On the other hand, when an important social tie is broken, like a divorce or the loss of an important friend, it feels like losing a job altogether. You don't have to be a social scientist to know how painful social loss and rejection are. But to quantify it, neuroscientists set up an experiment to see what actually happens in the brain when people feel socially rejected or lonely. They asked subjects of a study to play a video game called Cyberball, where players toss a ball around to one another, and they monitored their brain activity as they played. And at first, the players tossed the ball to each other in turn, but at a certain point, the research subject is excluded from the game. And even though the subjects knew that this was just a video game and a research study to measure what rejection looks like in the brain, they felt real distress. They felt rejected. The most interesting part of the study is how their brains process the social rejection. The stronger the feelings of rejection the subject reported, the more activity he or she showed in the part of the brain that actually processes physical pain. To the brain, social pain is just like physical pain. But the worst part is that social pain and loneliness are often a self-fulfilling cycle. And the more social pain you feel, the more you avoid people. And the more you avoid people, the more lonely you become. Today's technology makes it possible for us to be more connected, yet our social connections have actually decreased over the last 50 years. We've seen a downward trend in volunteering. We know fewer of our neighbors. We're getting married less. We're having fewer kids. And we have fewer close friends with whom we will share intimate details of our lives with. Over the same period of time, rates of suicide and clinical depression have never grown higher. According to the American Psychological Association, over 42 million Americans over the age of 45 live with chronic loneliness. And people are feeling less socially connected and more isolated than ever before. The desire to be in a loving relationship, to fit in at school or within a church community, to avoid rejection and loss, have someone in your life that really cares about your good news or your bad news. All of these things have a significant impact on our thoughts, actions, and feelings. And the simple perception that we are important to another person is manifested in our overall well-being. So today, I challenge you, at work or at school, or at church, or in your own community, make the time to connect with someone. Really connect. Engage in a personal conversation, or reconnect with an important person in your life that you may have lost touch with. Make eye contact, hug, communicate a sense of genuine value in that person. Remember, it's not the number of social connections that matters, but the quality. One meaningful relationship may be enough for a fulfilling life, while hundreds of superficial ones may only exacerbate one's isolation. Want to learn more about how the brain works and how to make it work better for you? Check out my book, Happy Hour with Einstein. And remember, life is always better when you share the good stuff.